We all experience emotional nervousness at some point in our lives, and this can wreak havoc on so many different areas. The way that we handle our nervousness can affect our relationships, our businesses, our health. It can have us people pleasing, making the wrong decisions, doing things that we really don't want to be doing, and also not doing things we really do want to be doing. The list goes on and on here. Our nervousness and our emotional fears are governed by the emotional solar plexus in the human design chart. In today's episode, I'm going to be covering all of the fears of the solar plexus gates in your chart, specifically how they can affect your business and your work in a negative way and what you can do about it. Welcome to Heart-Centered Human Design. Emotional Intelligence and Conscious Business, the show for heart-centered entrepreneurs that want meaningful success and work-life balance so they can wake up every day feeling empowered, inspired, and supported by work and life. I'm your host, Vanessa Naja, and I am obsessed with being on purpose, fulfilling potential, and helping you do the same. And I love to use the tool of human design to give you the unique perspective of how you can do that as an individual based on your unique human design chart. At the end of this episode, I'll give you more information on how we can work together to dive deep into your unique emotional makeup so that you can make the most of your design in business and in life. The emotional solar plexus is one of 3 awareness centers in the chart, and this is the one that governs our emotional and spiritual awareness and how we make sense of the world through our emotions. I already covered the other 2 awareness centers, the spleen and the ajna, in the last 2 episodes. And today we're going to dive into this center, which is one that is currently evolving and taking us to new heights on both an emotional and spiritual level. And it's exciting in how it can show up in your business. Now, how we experience our emotional solar plexus and our emotional and spiritual awareness is going to be very unique to us depending on how the center is configured in the chart, as well as our conditioning and our environment. And that may be the people around us. It could also be the planetary transits that are currently happening. It's going to be unique for everyone, and it's also going to change over time. If you have the center defined, and the solar plexus is the triangle on the right side of the chart that is pointing left. If it's defined, it's colored in, and that means that you have a very consistent way that you experience your emotions as well as your emotional nervousness, and you have an emotional wave that is always moving and is not necessarily related to what is happening on the outside. You broadcast this energy out to other people, they pick it up from you, and you tend to be a more emotional person. Now, if the center is undefined for you, meaning it is not colored in, you're going to be highly emotionally sensitive. You are able to feel the emotions of other people in your body. You pick up those emotional waves that emotionally defined people send out, and you can actually feel that experience in your body. Now, neither one of these is good or bad. They are just different. And we're going to cover how we might be experiencing this in today's episode. The gates on the emotional solar plexus is how we filter this unique energy. And if you have a gate defined on your chart, meaning this gate is colored in, you're going to experience this energy more consistently, whether your solar plexus is defined or not. If the gate is not colored in, you're not going to be experiencing this particular fear as consistently. However, it will still come up for you. Now, starting with gate 36. This is the fear of inadequacy. This can be emotional inadequacy. There can be a fear here that you do not have the skills that are necessary to handle potential crisis and new experiences. There can also be a fear of boredom that shows up in this particular energy. This gate is abstract, and this can show up as an emotional roller coaster, sometimes moving from hope to pain. And there can be a lot of expectations that go along with this energy. And when those expectations are not met, this energy can crash. There can also be this fear of not having your expectations met. Now, when it comes to your business, this can show up as not taking action out of the fear that you do not have the skills that are required to do what you want to do, and also the fear that things are not going to live up to your expectations, or that you are unable to handle the chaos that can come with the decisions that you make or the actions that you take. Now, remember, with human design, we always go back to our strategy and our authority. And these are the things that we really can rely on. And when we're following our strategy and authority, we are making the decisions and taking the actions that are correct for us. That doesn't necessarily mean that they are going to meet your expectations or result in what you had hoped for. However, you are still always going to get the lessons that you need to moving forward in life and ultimately in your purpose. So, following your strategy and authority, trusting that your authority has guided you in the right direction to take the actions that you want to take in your business is key with this energy. Now, moving on to gate 22. This is the fear of silence, the fear that there is no one there to listen to, there's nothing interesting to listen to, and also that nobody is listening to you or that you might be ignored. Now, this can show up very strongly in business, particularly in social media. There can really be that fear that no one is going to listen to what you have to share. And in business, it can also be that fear of not having anything to be passionate about. Again, like the fear of boredom in the previous gate, it's just that fear that you're going to get bored of whatever it is that you are doing. And again, it is important to remember that you want to follow your strategy and authority. You want to process your own nervousness around communication and expressing yourself authentically, and trusting that as you continue to live and embody your human design, the right people will come. The right people will listen to what you have to say, and you'll also come across the right things to listen to, the right things to be passionate about, and that it is all happening in divine and aligned timing. So going back to that place of strategy and authority, and also with gate 22, you do want to honor your moods. There is a lot of moodiness in individual energy, and this is an individual gate. So it is important to honor your moods. And it's a great time if you have this defined and you are experiencing melancholy, which is very common in any individual gate. It's actually also a very creative time. So during those periods of melancholy, during those periods where you might not be feeling in the mood to be social or to be out there, it's actually a really great time to work on whatever your creative projects are, which you can then put out there when you are feeling in that social mood and in that mood to really express yourself. Moving on to gate 37. This is the fear of tradition and the fear of taking on traditional roles in life. This is tribal energy, and this is very much about your tribe, your community, and your partnerships. There can be a fear here when it comes to business about having to take on a traditional role, having to take on a traditional job, having to be in partnership with somebody. There can be a fear of partnership in this gate, which can prevent you from forming the right partnerships with the right people. And it can also keep you from doing the things that need to be done in your business that might be the more traditional things. Now, ideally, you can eventually hire those things out to somebody else. However, if you're brand new in business, if you're a small business owner, there are often going to be some things that are the traditional things that you may not necessarily want to be engaging in, that you want to look at as a means to an end. In the beginning, especially as a small business owner, as a solopreneur, learning all the ins and outs of the business, even the things that you are not necessarily interested in, is going to really benefit you in the long run. So when you look at these things, when you gain awareness around these things, look at these as a means to an end. And remember, when you're entering new things in business, when you're entering new partnerships, and this can be with an actual business partner, this can be with long-term clients, this can be with people that are suppliers for you, following strategy and authority is key, and taking your time to enter into those partnerships to know if they are correct for you. If you have this fear, and I actually have this defined in my chart, so I understand this very well, it will take you some time to become really clear about those things. And as always, following your strategy and authority is key, because that will guide you into those places, into those situations and partnerships that are going to move you along your path to fulfilling your purpose. Gate 6 has the fear of intimacy and the fear of revealing who you really are. This is still tribal energy like Gate 37, and this is genetically either open or closed to intimacy. Now, in business, this can show up in several different ways. One of these is similar to 37. It's about the fear of dealing with the wrong people in business, the fear of clients, coaches, partners, and that fear of revealing who you are to them. This can be big also in the way that you show up and are visible online in social media, that fear of sharing who you truly are with others and really creating openness and a bond with others through what you share can show up in this gate. If this is part of your design, and this is also part of my design, this is actually something that you really get to work on emotionally over your lifetime. And as always, I'm going to sound like a broken record, following your strategy and authority is what is going to help you get over these fears, allow yourself to open yourself up, to reveal who you are, and know that not everybody is necessarily going to like that. And that is okay, because not everybody is for you. You're not meant to work with everybody. You're not meant to partner with everybody. The people that are the right people for you, you're going to be able to form these beautiful, deep, intimate bonds with, because that is part of what this energy governs. And your strategy and authority will guide the way to helping you find who those people are. Moving on to the next tribal gate on the solar plexus, this is gate 49, and this is the fear of unpredictability. And this is also the fear of rejection and nervousness around rejection and the consequences that go with unpredictability and rejection. Gate 49 is the gate of principles and establishing the principles in bonds, in the tribe, in the community, and also in your business. And revolution lives in this gate as well. When those principles aren't honored, there can be revolution that starts in this gate. Now, when it comes to business, all of the tribal gates are going to affect your relationships, your business partnerships, your relationships with your clients, your vendors, your customers are all going to be affected by these relationships. And there can be that fear of unpredictability because you don't necessarily know what's going to happen in your business. You don't necessarily know what your clients or your customers are going to do or not do. And you might be afraid of the chaos that results from that unpredictability and not being able to handle it. As always, this is very much about honoring your own emotions, honoring your strategy and authority. If you do have a defined solar plexus, you want to really take your time in entering into these relationships to really be emotionally clear about who the right people are for you and who you want to be working with. And if you have an undefined solar plexus, you might be picking these fears up from other people. Remember, with an undefined solar plexus, it's very important for you to distinguish what is your own and what you are taking on from other people. You can feel other people's feelings. You are able to get extremely wise about this energy, but you're not meant to identify with it. So once you have recognized you've taken on something that's not yours, just allowing it to flow through. It's just information for you. It is not meant to be acted on. Strategy and authority, as always, is key. Gate 55, back to individual energy. This is the fear of emptiness or not having enough to be passionate about. Now, gate 55 is actually the most melancholy energy in the entire chart. So if you do have this gate defined, you're going to be very familiar with these periods of melancholy. It's also extremely creative energy. And especially in those periods of melancholy, there's so much creativity that can be mined through this energy. There's a lot of moodiness in this gate. There can be a lot of hot and cold. This gate can also be very fickle and indecisive, which obviously in business decisions, there are decisions to be made. It can kind of flip-flop back and forth. So as usual, you do want to be really relying on your own strategy and authority in making decisions. And if you do have this gate defined, you want to be careful if you have an undefined solar plexus and you have a strategy that is not waiting for emotional clarity. It's still best to wait, to not be in a place of deep melancholy when you are making decisions. So sometimes you may have to take a little bit more time to make your decisions and rely on your strategy and authority. However, ideally not making any kind of big, massive decisions when you are in a place of deep melancholy. Now, in business, this fickleness can also really show up about being really excited about a project one day and then just not really caring about it the next day, just this constant back and forth about things. And the last gate we'll cover today is gate 30, and this is the fear of uncertainty. This is the fear of not knowing how an experience is going to turn out. This is collective energy. Again, this is very much related to hope and pain and expectations, having this desire for a new experience, having this expectation of how it will turn out, and then that fear of the crash that will come if things do not turn out the way that you had hoped or expected. Now, the fear of fate also will show up as this fear of being afraid of what might happen or what might not happen. This one is a big one in business because it can keep you from taking action because you're afraid of what might happen so that you don't do anything at all. And it can also show up as prematurely forcing things into action because you want something to happen right away. You have this expectation. You want to get to that point where that expectation is realized. And then again, if it's not realized, there's going to be disappointment. Holding your expectations lightly is important here because remember, you may do something in your business that your strategy and authority led you to do, and it may not result at all in what you expected. There is, however, the possibility that is going to far exceed your expectations, and at other times, it may not meet your expectations at all. And those things are all okay because you are going to learn from these experiences, regardless how they turn out. If you followed your strategy and authority, whatever the experience is that you get, whatever the results are that you get, are what is correct for you in order to follow your trajectory, to be on purpose, fulfill your potential, and do what you were meant to do here in life. So the emotional solar plexus is one of the most complex areas of your chart. It is under so much pressure and evolving as we speak. It is our most emotional place. That nervousness lives here. 50% of the population have this center defined, or around 53, actually more than 50%. And we are those people that need to really move through our emotional wave as we make those big decisions. That wave is always going to be there, moving up and down. And understanding how this energy works in your chart is really important because if you're going to be in business, you're going to have these emotional experiences and you're going to have emotional highs and emotional lows as an emotionally defined person. And you're still going to have to take care of business regardless of where you are. Now, I am emotionally defined and I'm not going to lie. I was low on my wave this morning and I was like, oh, how am I going to record this podcast? And isn't it ironic because it is about the emotional solar plexus and the emotional wave. And the thing is in business, that makes me think of the Taylor Swift song, I can do it with a broken heart. I can do it when I'm low on my emotional wave. Having practices that you love, that work for you, that help you through those emotional lows before you take action is really important. And I do this every time I create any kind of content or anytime I see clients. I actually take a moment to meditate, to ground and center and set intentions and just be really present with myself and bring my emotional system and my energetic system into the highest vibration that I am capable of that day. So finding practices for you, if you're emotionally defined and you have to do something when you're low on your wave, is going to be really helpful for you. And if you're emotionally undefined and you're picking up the energy of other people that might be low on their wave, a really great thing for you to do is to break auric space. Go into your own space, at least 15, 20 feet away from other people, and just take some time on your own to release other people's emotions. I also like to do practices around setting protection around myself, setting intentions around really being in my own energy. Remember, if you're emotionally undefined, you will feel the emotions of other people, but it is just information for you. It's not your own. You can allow them to flow through you and just move on. And it is just information for you on what other people are experiencing. And with that undefined solar plexus, you're actually able to become incredibly wise about emotional energy. Now, if you would like to dive deeper into your own emotional makeup, your own emotional system in business and in life, I would love to work with you in my program, Emotional Intelligence by Design, where we would work together one-on-one, diving deep into your chart and unraveling all of those complicated, pesky little things that might come up in your life that are holding you back from being on purpose and fulfilling your potential in your business and in your relationships. You can check that out at vanessanaja.com/emotional intelligence. I will also link it in the show notes. I'd love to hear how this episode landed for you. So if you are listening someplace where you can comment, please let me know how it went. If you learn anything new about yourself, what are your biggest emotional fears? And if you are listening somewhere where you can't comment, please connect with me on Instagram at @HTVanessaNaja. I would love to hear from you. Send me a DM. Let me know what landed for you. And if you have any questions. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of the episode. I will see you next time.